Welcome to Roberta Ranch. Come on in. We're going to start the tour with our first bedroom here. It's a pretty good layout. It looks out onto the road. We tried to plant this maple tree here, so hopefully in the summertime, when it gets nice and big, it's actually going to block that sun coming through to help with the heat in the summer. We'll see how that works out. You can dare to dream. This is the main bathroom. We tried something new on this house, which is this shower door. I'm really happy with it. The reason why I'm really happy with it is there's often with the shower door, there's a glass and then there's a track on the top and the bottom. And in between the track on here, it's so hard to clean. Now with this one, the whole shower door comes right out of the way and you can get in there, clean everything. The only little tricky part to clean is going to be down and around here, which to me, that's great. I find that the easier it is to clean, the more likely you are to clean it, and the more likely that it's not going to be a hassle. The other thing too is often when you're cleaning the shower door, you're having to pull that glass door out, which, you know, most people are not going to feel comfortable with that. They might be worried about breaking the glass or whatever. So now they're trying to clean in and around and it's just tricky. So I'm really happy with how that turned out. I like the idea of it and yeah. We went with these blue cabinets in here, which I'm really happy with. Yeah, I'm excited about it, and we will move on to the kitchen next. So this is the kitchen that we got from Wes at Concept Kitchen and Bath. One of my favorite features of the house is actually this valance over top of the sink. I love it. I like how the light gets cast down and really makes for a nice look. A couple of the other features that I've noticed that Wes does on the kitchen that I really enjoy. Let's come on this way and I'll show you. So in here, we got this cutlery unit here, which I really like. This opens up, you could put your bar of soap or your gloves or whatever in there, which is kind of cool. We got a little spice rack, which I like. And what other cool things? Oh, we've got a underneath here, we've got a recycling unit here, which is kind of cool. And there's a garbage can under the sink, which is nice. A plug on the other side of the island. And then we got enough room for at least 4 people to sit and eat here, which is great. The light I'm really happy with. I'm also really happy with how these beams turned out. Like, there was a lot of work that went into them, but man, did they turn out well. I'm super happy. Yeah, we'll go into the living room here and talk a little bit about that now. I was really excited about how the living room turned out. There was a lot of planning that went into this living room, and I can't stress enough how important planning is to the success of a project. The reason why I bring that up is because what we ended up doing is we ended up bringing ductwork through the slab, which was a lot of pre-thought and trying to figure out where that's going to go, and that was right at the beginning of the project. So making sure that we communicated with the HVAC guy, made sure he was happy, made sure that we had enough room within that cavity that we made. We have that on a previous video if you want to see how we did that. So another thing that was part of that planning process is we realized right at the beginning that we were going to end up having to turn and get into the wall on this side of the building here, where you can see this vanity, or not a vanity, well, we'll call it a vanity, it's a TV stand anyways. So a little bit of the ductwork turns and goes up in there. So that was another thing we had to order really soon in that process to make sure that it was here in time. Right now, it's really tricky with planning and getting things here on time. When it is in the planning stage, you really got to take your time. If things need to be slowed down at the beginning to make sure that you have a really well planned out plan, that's what you got to do. You can't rush that. Making sure that everybody understands what needs to be done and how we're going to get there too is really important, and make sure that the sub-trades understand what you're trying to do. I guess another thing that we can point out, now that I'm done rambling on about that, we did this wood trim on top of all of the doors and windows on the face side of the main living space. I wanted to give it a little bit of hierarchy and make sure that you understood that this was like a richer area of the house. And in doing that, we also were able to tie in our beam work that I was really happy with. We spent a lot of time on that, and I was just, getting in here and seeing, what you had in your mind, and then it all coming together with months and months of thinking about how things are going to go together. For instance, when we had planned to put the beams in, it wasn't something that we waited till and go, oh, okay, well, what does this room need? Does it need something? No, we had to plan that out before. So there's backing in behind this so that we were able to tie the beam into the ceiling. Okay, so there's going to be a bunch of layers too. So how are we going to layer all that material together so that we can actually install it properly? Where are the wires going to come? How are they going to be tied in? So this planning, this methodical process of all the pieces that are going to come together to get there is critical. So sometimes it feels like things are kind of trudging along, but in the background, we're trying to do our very best to think about all these pieces. So sometimes it may feel that it's taking a bit, but we're just making sure that that whole process is going to come together nicely in the end, and we're not rushing the planning. Planning is crucial. So this is the master bedroom, and I'm really happy with how the coffered ceiling turned out. It's really important to understand that, the mechanical system has to be planned out. And in this project, we made sure that all the mechanicals were inside conditioned space. So the reason why we did that on this project was to keep the ducts in a space which is heated at all times, because it's below the insulation and below the poly. So the other thing that's nice about that too is now the ducts are in the same air that you're breathing within the house, which is also filtered and clean. The ducts also stay warm because usually your ducting is either in your crawl space, which they call it heated, but it's maybe semi-heated. And then also the ducts, they're never perfectly sealed. So now when that duct is pulling that air through, it's pulling it through your basement. And I know that you do not go down there and dust out your basement, and neither would I. The other option is that it's in the attic. Now the attic is gonna have insulation all in there, right? So now if that's sucking air in, now you're pulling that air in through your attic. Now we also know that's also not the nicest place in your house. So when you bring in that ductwork into conditioned space and within the building envelope, the air, if it is being pulled in, is being brought in through, would it be also filtered air. So it's a lot cleaner, a lot better for you. It's gonna take a lot of allergens out of the house. So for instance, we have an HRV in this place too, and that's the heat recovery ventilator. So what the heat recovery ventilator is doing is, I guess the best way for me to try and explain it would be more like an alternator in a car. So you gotta think about the fresh air, which is usually around here is gonna be cooler, is coming into your house, and you're exhausting hot air, which is inside your house, which is also got, you know, all your carbon dioxide or whatever else kind of pollutants you have in your house. Those are passing by each other over a manifold. And when they pass by each other, it warms the air and allows it to heat up that cool air from the outside with the hot air that's going out of the building. That's great because now you're not having to spend as much money on trying to recirculate that air and reheat it again. It's coming in semi-warm. And there's all sorts of different efficiencies that you can get in HRV. But when you're building in tight envelope, which we did on this project, very tight, you need to bring that fresh air in. Lots of people say that a house needs to breathe. Well, yes, it does, but it needs to breathe on your own terms through filtration and making sure that it's nice and clean. So for instance, you know when we have our forest fires that are happening in the summer, well now instead of it getting sucked through a hole in your wall, which in most houses it's just a cold air return is what they call it, and now you're sucking air through your wall that's from the outside. Well, if you have an HRV or a nice filter on your furnace, then that's cleaning that air before it actually makes it into your building, making it way nicer, way more enjoyable, and cleaner for yourself. So anyways, we'll continue on now that I'm done my spiel. We'll go down here and we'll look at how the master bathroom finished out. Come on down. So this is the master bathroom. I really like this unit. It's a 9-foot tub and shower combination. It's really safe from the builder's point of view as well from the homeowner's point of view because this fiberglass is a really watertight unit. So sometimes people like a really tiled surround. Well, now you're relying on the waterproofing behind that wall, especially for a floor. It really has to be done pretty well perfect, and you have to stay on top of making sure that you keep all those joints and stuff in good working order. So with this unit, there's like a lip, the flange they call it, that goes behind here, and then all of this, just this top part is waterproof. So now any water that actually comes down the wall is running down the face of the tile. Now that water is never standing, right? So it's just coming down, out, and into the drain. So I love it. I love the glass. I love when you come in that there's no wall or separation. So you're looking through and it makes it feel a lot bigger. And yeah, I'm really happy with the flooring choice that Caitlin helped pick out. Yeah, I'm really happy with how this bathroom turned out. We got blue cabinets here that I really like. And we actually We ended up putting a plug in behind the toilet for a bidet. Whether somebody uses that or not in the future, at least it's there and it has an option, and it is in the master. So yeah, I think that that's a pretty good tour of the master. I'm really happy with the way that it turned out, and we'll move over to the master closet now. This is the master closet. We built these custom shelves, and we got a spot for shirts and then a spot for jackets and dresses. So on this house, we tried our very best to get as high up on the step code as we could, which is energy efficiency, which also leads to health and comfort within the home. So when we talk about health, we're talking about the fresh air and how we're bringing that air in and making sure that it's healthy and filtered and it doesn't have pollutants, whether that's pollen, smoke, any other sort of airborne stuff. We're trying to mitigate that through filtration. When we talk about comfort, we're talking about how you actually feel within the house. An example of that would be when you have a 2-story house and it's in the summertime and you're up there and you're just like, holy, it is so hot up here. Or you go into the basement and then it's cold. Well, in a house that has a really good envelope as well as a lot of insulation within the wall or on the outside of the wall, which maybe we'll be moving to shortly, which makes a little bit more sense and also makes for a better house. So we're gonna try and do our very best to make sure that we're trying to build the best house that we can. And from here on out, we're gonna be trying to keep going and keep adding to that. And when we get the opportunity to do that, it's been a great journey of learning and feeling like, you know, there's a lot of change within our industry, which is great. And I feel it's gonna be very good for people with how they feel in their house. It's going to be less drafty. You're not going to be close to a window and go, ooh, it's cold in here, right? With that tight envelope, you're less likely to feel those kind of problems. Thank you very much, and I really appreciate whoever watched this video. We love making them and we love building these projects, so I really appreciate it, and I hope you guys have a great day. Bye for now. At Buck Robertson Contracting, we do contracting with communication. So if you'd like your house built with communication, call us today. Bye for now.